I'm so proud of my makeup today. It looks so nice. Couldn't find the earrings that I wanted to wear though. Irritating. Don't judge me.
Bruh.
I'm trying to save my lipstick. That stuff is expensive. I keep messing up. Alright. Let's get it. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you know, things are a little different in this setting. It's because I finally got a stand for my phone. Adulting. I will put in the link for this one because as I told you guys before that I'm pretty tight on money. So this one wasn't very expensive. I think it was like 20 bucks I got from Amazon. It doesn't have like the ring light or anything like that, which if you feel like you don't need one too, this one's probably good for you. It comes with like a phone connector, but also like a connector for like cameras and stuff like that. It's very lightweight. It comes with a little bag. It was really cool. I'll definitely share that link. Now I got a stand. Does that make me a real YouTuber? I need a few more followers to make me a real YouTuber. I love all of you, but if there's someone you could ask to be a subscriber or maybe pay to be a subscriber for me, that would be cool. Anybody that you know is into nerdy stuff. I'm hoping to, as time goes on, to expand, to do a little bit more just random stuff. Like, there's a lot of different avenues I can go on this channel, and there's little things that I want to do to make people get to know me better as a person as well as an author. So when I do publish my books, and over the next couple of years as I publish more books, people can come here and really get to know me and why I write and how I write and who I am. So I couldn't really decide on what this video should be about, but after some talking with some close friends of mine, some author friends of mine, and just people who have watched this channel, I decided to do a books for first-time readers. I have a lot of friends and a lot of most of the subscribers.
He needs some milk.
I'm having a stroke. Most of the subscribers that I have aren't avid readers, so I thought, why not? Let's do a video to kind of help maybe give some recommendations that might help you guys start reading. Being a reader is kind of like being a person who watches movies or an avid movie watcher, except for the roles are a little bit different. So with movies, it's basically you watching a movie and then kind of putting the story together in your head based on how they're talking, what they're talking about, and what you're seeing. Books, it's kind of the opposite, where they're telling you the story and you have to make up everything in your head. And it's not as hard as it seems. It's not as, I don't know, intimidating as one might think. If you've watched movies, and I don't know if many people know, but a lot of movies that you watch are based off of books. So if you are into certain, that's another avenue you could start in, is that, say you love Magicians on Netflix, or the Shadowhunters series, or some other series that says based off a book. Movies that say true story, guarantee there is a book about it. If you go through that avenue, it might be easier for you if it's hard for you to kind of make up things in your mind, because you can just, as you're reading the book, the characters that come up, you can just remember the actors from the movie and place them in your mind, and that's all you have to do. It's really, I mean, there's so much more detail in books. There's so much more extra information in books. There's always those times, I know everybody's at least had it one time where you watched a movie and you're like, I wish they would have explained that more, or I don't really understand what that character is there for in the first place. You only see him like one time, or why did that person have to die like that? I don't get it. There's so much more explained in books than you would realize. And that's why when people say the book is always better, it's because it is, because there's more details in the books. There's more explanation. There's more character development. There's more explanation for landscape or the world, or there's maps. There's so much more that you can look into, and it's not as intimidating as one might think, and it's not as tedious as one might think. like a movie where you watch a movie and when you look outside it's daytime and then at the end it's nighttime and you're like, wow, I spent the whole day marathoning all these movies. It's the same with a book. Honestly, you'll sit there and you'll start reading and you'll be like, this is sucking me in so much. You look outside and it's dark and you just realize that you spent 7 hours reading a book. It's happened to the best of us. Not only is reading good for your mind, but there's so much more to books than just reading them. There is a whole world out there beyond books. You watch movies and stuff and there's fandoms. If you guys know what fandoms are, it's just a collection of people who like a certain movie, book, author, universe. And there's so much community in those, just connections you can make. And so it's more than just reading. It's opening a whole different door into your life that can possibly make you happier and make you a better person, can help you find what you truly want to do in life, like me. So I'm hoping that this helps. I hope you enjoy it. So there are a few books in my recommendations that I've asked other people about. I haven't necessarily read them. That being said, I did some extensive research on like reviews and stuff like that and the premises of the stories, and kind of just I'm going to tell you basically like 1 or 2 reasons why I think that they are a first-time reader book. So hopefully that helps you. And again, these are my recommendations, so they might not be somebody else's. Somebody else might be like, that's ridiculous, that's a hard book to read, or they might think that that's just not a good book. Well, these are the recommendations I'm giving. So hopefully you can find something within this list of books, and if not, I hope that you do your own research and try to jump into being a reader, because it's honestly amazing. We're gonna go fantasy first. So if you are into like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, kind of stuff like that, fantasy is basically everything's made up. So like the world that you're in, if there's magic systems, if there's species that are new, it's not based in our world, it's all entirely mythical. That's going to be a fantasy kind of book. My first recommendation is going to be The Hobbit, and I will put a picture up, of course. I think it's a good book because it's small. It's a smaller book. There's a lot of references online, so if you are confused about maps, if you're confused about creatures, if you're confused about characters, you can always, there's so much to look up and reference online. It's not like you're going to be left confused, really. Also, if you have kids or if you have younger siblings and you want to encourage them, or you feel like it'll help you to read more if you read with them, then this is a good book for younger kids. It's very different in certain aspects from the movies, so there are certain things that are the same, so it might be exciting if you've already watched The Hobbit and you come back to this book. It's not the same, but you'll see certain aspects that are similar, and it will kind of be exciting to like link it to the book and be like, I remember reading that, or oh my god, they totally did this completely different in the movies. They didn't, they didn't even add this part, which is exciting because then it feels like you're kind of in on a secret. Like there's stuff in the book that nobody saw in the movies, but you know about. So it's a part of the world that nobody else got to see if they didn't read the book. So it's kind of exciting. Like I said before, it's also a small book. Also, if you end up loving this book and you want something else, you can jump right into Lord of the Rings, and there's 3 books to that, which is exciting. There's also, if you feel like you want more, there's the Silmarillion. There's a whole world out there of Lord of the Rings. There's also the Tolkien dictionary, which goes over everything, like all of his creatures and stuff like that, which is really exciting. So there's so much you can dive into if you want to start out on a simple book. The second book that I'm recommending fantasy-wise is nothing like The Hobbit. It's called the Frostblood series by Ellie Blake. It's a 3-book series. I'm recommending it because the magic system within it is very simple, and so I feel like you won't be overwhelmed. There's a lot of books out there fantasy-wise where it's like the worlds are interesting, but if there's like a lot of to go on with the magic systems and the species, and there's a ton of that going on, kind of like the Hobbit can be kind of overwhelming sometimes. J.R.R. Tolkien's world can be overwhelming, not necessarily the Hobbit, but this one it's very simplistic in that aspect. There's firebenders and there's icebenders or water icebenders. So, and they're separated by like countries, so it's kind of nice to kind of have that simplicity but also have the fantasy aspects to it. I also like it because the 3 books that it is, they're smaller books, and they're very segmented. So the first book is like her discovering the girl that we follow in the book discovers who she is, and then the second one is her traveling to a world or traveling to a different country and doing specific things in those countries, and then when she's done it cuts off, and then the third book is her coming back to the original country and finishing what she started. So it's very segmented. There's not a lot of confusion there. I think that it's a pretty decent and easy read as far as fantasy goes, especially if you want a trilogy. I just think it's a pretty simple trilogy if that's what you're looking for. Next, we're going to go on to romance. I don't really read just general romance books. It's not really my genre. But if you want like a simple book that's like innocent love, like YA, which is young adult, it's kind of innocent, I would do P.S. I Love You. Hey guys, I know this is kind of weird, me just like interrupting my video to add this, but I made a flop and I wanted to make sure I fix it before I publish anything. I just recently watched P.S. I Love You, and that's why I said that title for, because it is also a book, but I was talking about the To All the Boys I Loved Before. That's the series I was talking about with Jenny Han, the author Jenny Han. That's the series I was talking about, not P.S. I Love You. P.S. I Love You is very sad, not what I'm talking about when I talk about innocent romance. So To All the Boys I Loved Before, that is the series I'm talking about. So I'm gonna put a picture right here. I would just think that this would be an easier read because it's young adult, it's high school, so it's a very simple look on basic life that everybody has gone through. I'm also recommending it because there are movies on Netflix, and if you're very unsure, like you're very unsure that you're like, I don't want to spend money on these books that I might not even like, go watch the movie. Go watch the movie, and if you really like the movie and you really like the characters, then read the book. And then, like I said before, if you have a hard time imagining things, the high school's in there, her family's in there, all her love interests, the character herself. It makes it easier for you to imagine those things, so you don't have to work so hard to think up characters. If you want something a little bit more spicy, a little more raunchy, Colleen Hoover, I'm recommending her as an author because I've heard of her. She writes thriller romances too, and I've read one of those. And I've been told that she's an amazing author when it comes to romances like that. The intimate scenes that I've read in her romance thrillers are pretty good. So if you want like an adult, more raunchy scene, then that's something books that I would definitely go into. So if you look up, she has a lot of books, so you could definitely cipher through the summaries of these books and just be like, this one sounds interesting, go for it. You know, I think it would be really good to start off with Colleen Hoover too, because she has a lot of standalone books rather than series. Might help you with feeling less intimidated by a series and it's just one book. If you're into thriller, if you're looking for like thriller books, it's pretty easy to find. Those are like really big ones, especially like there's also crime ones, are very like crime detective mystery ones are very big too. Thriller, in my point of view, my recommendation would be a romance thriller. I just feel like it brings you another aspect to it rather than like a flat just thriller. I like when there's romance involved always. So I'm recommending Colleen Hoover. She has some thriller romances. I have read her book Verity, and I've also done a review on it, so if you want to check out that review too. They give you just enough, and I that's not usually my genre, but I really enjoyed it. I liked it because it was a standalone book. It's smaller. It was a little confusing, but it hits you right away, which is something that I really enjoy in books, when the action just is in your face the first chapter. Not every book's like that, which, you know, is okay. But it's always nice once in a while to have a book like that where it's just, it starts quick and you feel like you're sucked in within like the first couple pages. If you're not into any kind of romance in your books, then I'm recommending The Shining from somebody else that has read it. They said that it's fast-paced, they liked it a lot, and it's one of the best thrillers out there. And of course, Stephen King is amazing, and I would assume anything he writes is pretty decent. Pretty decent. I mean, like I said before, it's not my genre, but they said it's fast-paced and it gets you sucked in really quick. And it starts off, the mystery and the excitement starts off quick. At least that's what a friend of mine said. So I am recommending that book because it's a classic. So I didn't really know what to pick for, like war or battles or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like military movie-esque. So I talked to my husband when he reads some of that kind of stuff, and he recommended Red Platoon. It's based off a true story of a base in Iraq, and they were in one of the worst bases positioned in the world, and he said like all the characters are based off true people, and he said it's a very, very good read. I am recommending that one because he isn't an avid reader either, and he really enjoyed it. He read it rather quick. Also, it's a smaller book. It's not too much to read. If you're looking for crime, I honestly was at a loss because I don't read crime at all. I don't read anything like that. I would recommend Stephen King kind of like mystery thrillers, but I know that's not really crime. Detective kind of stuff. I guarantee you could find any Netflix show or any show on Prime and then look it up, and I guarantee there is a movie or a book that was based off of. I went through and did some research on like easy reads for first-time readers for crime-related books, and one crossed my mind like in the middle of this like 100-page recommendations. There was one that caught my eye, and it was called The Secret Life of Mr. Ruse. So the story basically is this guy wins $1 million, and he decides he hates his job, and he's not really connected to any of the people that are in his life. So he just up and leaves and buys a cabin in the middle of Swedish countryside and just wants to live his life there. And I was like, oh dang, like that's what I would do. And then it was all peace and quiet until this girl is on the run from her abusive ex, shows up out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden there's a dead body. And you have to discover, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's her ex's dead body or someone else, but like all of a sudden there's this like dead body and it's just thrown into this guy's lap who just won the lottery. And now there's this mystery of, you know, who killed this person, and it's in the middle of like the woods or the countryside. There's no one around, so it's like, are they gonna be next? Like, that's kind of exciting. So I'm recommending that one just solely based on the summary that I read. It's almost like it was so interesting that I even thought, I was like, I might step out of my genre and take a look because it just seemed really interesting. So contemporary fiction, that's again in my genre, in my group that I like to read. What I'm recommending, the Divergent series. I think it's good. It's post-apocalyptic. There's not magic really in it. It's more of just like, there's a supernatural-esque to it. Nothing too crazy. And I feel like it would be easy to follow because it's very rooted in our world. It's just post-war, hundreds of years later. And these people are broken up into factions because of the way that they think and the way that their minds work. And the main character, her mind works vastly different from everyone else, and that's what gets her in trouble. So it's a 3-book series, 4 technically, right here.
Look at all those chickens!
4 technically, if you count the 4th book is basically called 4, and that's one of the characters in the book, and it's kind of just different parts of the book from his point of view, which I thought was very good. But it's a very, very good series, and it sucks you right in because it's so unique, but yet not confusing. Very easy to read. Another one I would recommend is Vampire Academy. I hate the name. I wish they would change it, but it's a book heavily rooted in our world, but it has a different species aspect, which is the vampires. And I like it because of the spin that this author put on the vampire species. It's very different from the normal species of vampires. They do have magic powers, but they're elemental powers, so it's nothing too crazy. They can control certain things. Earth, water, fire, air, and I think spirit. The main character is funny as hell. The book series is kind of long. There are 5 books, but it's an easy read. Also, I have a few guy friends that want to start reading, they just don't know where to start, and I know that some people it doesn't really matter to them what point of view a book is in, but for me, sometimes it can be hard to get into a book if it's not in a female's voice or a female point of view or a feminine point of view. So I have 2 books that I'm recommending that are both basically contemporary fiction. The first one is Beautiful Creatures, and that one is in a male point of view. It's a bigger book. I didn't care for it, but the magic system is really good, and the characters are thought out, and there is a movie that's out called Beautiful Creatures, and if you're not sure you like it, if you'll like it, you could watch the movie, and if you do like the movie, then by all means, the first book is pretty similar to the movie. So another one is Maz Runner. Now I love the series Maz Runner. It's in the male point of view. I love the movies. The main character is played by Dylan O'Brien, and I love him as an actor. It's in a male point of view. The book is very small. It is a series though, and I feel like it's pretty easy. It's post-apocalyptic, but it's like super in the future, so everywhere that they go and everything that they do feels almost fantasy-like because it's so far in the future, but technically, I mean, fantasy, contemporary fiction, whatever. I have one more recommendation for anybody who wants like a fantasy love book. Well, actually 2. If you're looking for a fantasy book, A Court of Mist and Fury, I love that series. It's so good. It's fantasy, but it's slow going, so it slowly introduces a lot of different things. There is a map at the front, so if you get confused, and it's broken up well. Also, the way that the author, Sarah J. Maas, writes her character's development is so amazing. I truly love it. There was aspects in the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury, it's the second book, where there's just so much pain that this person goes through and struggle that like I felt it like to my core. Like I felt like this author was talking about my emotions, and she just writes it so well and how this person gets out of this feeling that they have, and it's just, I highly recommend it. Also, if you're into like heists and gang related stuff, but also like the fantasy aspects, Six of Crows by Leah Bardugo. It's kind of hard to read if you haven't read Shadow and Bone, but you can get past that stuff. If you want to read Shadow and Bone first and then read Six of Crows, it's very good. I thought I wouldn't like it because it's like heists and gang related stuff, and it's kind of similar to Peaky Blinders if you guys have seen that show. The main characters literally look the exact same from the book to the show. I highly recommend it just because I know that kind of like crime / detective work / magic heist. It's pretty intense, and it's pretty cool. It's a nice mixture of all of it together. And that is all the books that I have for you guys. I tried to pick smaller books so they didn't feel as intimidating. Always remember that even if a book is big, you can always put it down. It's not, you don't have to hold on that book forever. It's not like it's gonna go anywhere. If you read it and you're like, you know, I really like this, but it's very overwhelming, I need to take a break, put the book down. That's the whole point of a book. You can put a bookmark in and put it down. I also have a rule for first-time readers, for anybody really, the halfway rule. Start a book and get to at least halfway through the book. Push yourself to halfway, and if you get to the halfway point and you're like, there is nothing in this book that could save it and make me actually love it, put it down, put it away, it's done. So I actually had a book like that recently where the first part was super boring. I didn't like it. I thought I was going to hate it, but I got to the halfway mark, and that's exactly where it picked up, and by the end, I loved the book, and I can't wait for the next one. Also, if you're scared that you're not gonna be able to find the right book for you right away, get a library card. Try the library. You can read books, and then if you end up liking that book, buy it. You can always do ebooks or Apple Books, and those books sometimes are only $2 or $3. Some of them are a little bit more expensive. How exciting that book is and how popular it is, it can be $5, but it's cheaper than a normal book. So if you do feel like you didn't like it, at least you only spent a couple dollars on it. Also, buy it from Amazon, and if you start reading the book and you didn't like it, you can send it back, or you can ask for your money back. I mean, there's so many different things you can do if you end up not liking a book. You can always get your money back. And you know what? If you feel like it's hard for you to read in general, just reading to sit down and read, get audiobooks. Get the app, buy them at Barnes & Noble, buy them online, like through Google. Like, there's so many options in order for you to read books. Or you can listen to them on your way to work, listen to them while you're in the shower, or taking a bath, or doing the dishes. Like, watch them before you go to sleep. Unless it's a thriller, then probably don't do that. That's up to you. But also, like I said, try to the halfway point. A lot of books, you're not always going to find your book right away. You're not always going to find your genre right away. And that's okay. Just keep going. So those are the books that I recommend. If you guys want any private recommendations, feel free to message me. I really hope you guys like these recommendations. Currently, I am reading one book, but it's slow going. I've been struggling this last week. I haven't been posting on my social media. I haven't really been doing anything. I got carpal tunnel, so it's been a struggle recently. So I'm slowly trying to get back to it, but bear with me. It's gonna be a struggle. So I also want to thank you guys for sticking with me and watching my videos and supporting me as much as you can. I deeply appreciate it, and I hope this video helps you find the right book for you. So if you guys want to follow me on any other social media, feel free to follow me. I'm either under LF Sites Books or under Leonora Sites, or you can find all of my connections to any social media through my website at leonorasites.com. If you are interested in watching more of my videos, subscribe, ring the bell so then you'll be alerted when I make new videos. And I will hopefully be reading more books, and I'll probably do a review 2 weeks from now. And I hope you guys have a good weekend. I'll see you guys later. Bye.